is a hot spot for Bigfoot activity.
In this chilling investigation captured by Dee's dark adventures, Dee explores a remote farmhouse surrounded by a vast cornfield. Responding to disturbing reports from the family who lives there, they've experienced a series of strange events: disembodied voices, unexplained movements in the corn, and unusually aggressive behavior from their typically calm dogs. Determined to uncover the truth, Dee begins a nighttime investigation that quickly becomes unnerving. The cornfield stretches endlessly, its tall stalks forming a dense maze-like barrier. An eerie stillness hangs in the air, broken only by the occasional faint rustle. The location's isolation heightens the sense of unease, and the thick darkness feels almost suffocating. Equipped with a flashlight and investigative tools, Dee carefully steps into the field, fully aware that she may be entering a place where normal safety no longer applies. As she ventures deeper, the first signs of something truly unusual begin to appear.
Okay, something laid out a pile of corn here. I mean, I don't see deer carrying a bulk in their mouth and bringing it here, but it's a little bulk for what I'm trying to say it is, I guess. Ooh! Hold on, get one of my new lights. Check this out. Oh, one's already turned on, dang. Hold on, sorry guys. What was that? I'm hearing a howling. That's not those dogs. It's coming from that way. Those dogs can't go that far. They're on a restraint thing. Okay.
Scattered across the ground are small piles of corn, arranged in a strange, deliberate pattern. The sight immediately feels unsettling, as if an unseen presence with unknown intentions is nearby. Dee studies the odd formations, but they provide no clear answers, only deepening the growing sense of unease. The silence is soon interrupted by faint, indistinct sounds.
Airplane.
At first, it's just the occasional rustle of leaves or the snap of a distant twig, noises easily attributed to wind or wildlife. But as Dee moves deeper into the field, the sounds become more intentional and distinct. A soft, high-pitched chirping begins to echo through the corn, growing louder and more persistent. The noise seems to circle her, as if the source is aware of her and watching her every move. The atmosphere grows heavier with tension, and Dee's flashlight briefly reveals dark shapes flitting between the towering stalks.
Oh my god! What I just saw, I don't know what I just fucking saw, dude. Screw that, screw that, screw that. What was that? Dude. What was that? I can't do this. No, I can't do this, guys. That dog. hear whistling.
The figures are barely perceptible, their outlines blurred and hidden among the thick corn stalks. Every time she shines her flashlight toward the movement, the shapes disappear, leaving behind only the sound of rustling leaves, which only heightens the tension. Adding to the unease are signs of recent disturbance in the field, patches of flattened corn indicating that something large has moved through, carving paths that lead further into the darkness.
I don't want to damage any property. Oh, dude. Look, there's something was laying here. Something big was laying right there.
The discovery only deepens the mystery. Was it an animal, a person, or something entirely different? As the investigation progresses, the noises intensify. The chirping is soon joined by louder, more disturbing sounds, snaps, cracks, and rustles that seem to come from all around at once. The field feels almost alive, as if the stalks themselves are working to hide whatever lurks within. The feeling of being watched grows overwhelming, and the weight of the unknown presses heavily on Dee's mind. The tension reaches a breaking point when the sounds become increasingly erratic, and the movement within the stalks grows more noticeable and intense.
More deer droppings. Oh, I messed up my light, guys. Hang on. Hold on, I'm sorry. Technical difficulty. This dude, I'm done. I can't. No. No, 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 no. No.
The tension, once manageable, quickly turns into a raw, instinctive feeling of danger. Overwhelmed and unable to uncover any answers, Dee decides to retreat. The cornfield, with its strange sounds and shadowy figures, remains an enigma. As she makes her way back to safety, the heavy atmosphere lingers, leaving her shaken and uncertain about what she just went through. The next day, Dee reflects on the encounter, trying to make sense of the bizarre events. The unexplained piles of corn, the circling noises, and the fleeting shapes all suggest something beyond the ordinary, yet no clear explanation emerges, leaving her to wonder what truly hides in the shadows of the cornfield. The family's reports of eerie phenomena remain unresolved, their stories validated but still unexplained by Dee's experience. This haunting investigation serves as a stark reminder of the mysteries that may exist just beyond the edge of the familiar. The channel, The Outdoor Gear Review, is hosted by a man named Luke, known for his practical, no-nonsense take on camping and outdoor equipment. He's not someone who chases after myths or sensationalizes his content. In fact, Luke is openly skeptical of anything paranormal, and often mentions that he's never experienced anything that would make him believe in creatures like Bigfoot. But in this video, Luke finds himself facing something he can't quite explain. And this wasn't an ordinary camping trip, it was a viewer-requested episode where Luke agreed to return to a remote mountain location he refers to as the Green Forest. Over the past 2 years, he had visited the area several times and encountered a series of unusual events. At the time, he didn't make much of them, but in hindsight, a strange pattern began to emerge.
My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. This is a viewer-requested episode that I'm calling The Search for Bigfoot. For some, this is going to excite them. For others, They may roll their eyes, and that's okay. Allow me to explain what's taken place and why I'm doing this episode, why it's been requested. So over the last year or so, I've been coming up here to what I call the Green Forest. And over the last 2 years, I've had numerous odd experiences. The first odd experience began someplace on top of this mountain. I was hiking up and I came across what looked like a trail. And along this trail, all of the trees have been broken and basically like stacked, like leaned in a certain way. It was rather odd. A few months later, I was hiking to this location. I was coming through the woods and I startled something big. As soon as whatever it was heard me, it burst through the forest. You can hear it breaking limbs and snapping trees as it ran. Whatever it was huge.
On one hike, Luke came across a long stretch of broken trees, each one bent and stacked in the same direction. It didn't look like typical storm damage. The breaks appeared deliberate, almost as if they'd been arranged intentionally. On another trip, while hiking off trail, he startled something large hidden in the woods. Whatever it was crashed through the forest with enough force to snap branches loudly. Luke never saw the creature, but he was certain it wasn't a deer. It was far too big. Then, during his most recent camp out in that same forest, he experienced something else unusual. Late at night, as rain poured down on his tent, he suddenly heard a single loud grunt just outside in the darkness. There were no other sounds, just that one unmistakable noise, close and clear. Luke had no explanation for it.
Then, last week, I came out here for a camping trip. I was inside of the tent, it was raining outside, it was beginning to storm. Basically, I was turning in for the night, and I heard a grunt, and it sounded like this. Woo! One time only, that's it. What was that sound? I have no idea. But many of you all thought it was Bigfoot. I have publicly stated previously that I'm not sure if I really believe in Bigfoot. I'm more of a skeptic. I am open-minded to it. It's always possible, but with my experiences out in the woods, out in remote areas, I've never had any sort of experience that I could contribute to being Bigfoot. If you happen to believe in Bigfoot, that's fine. I respect that. But for myself, I haven't seen what I needed to see to believe it. We are going to head up on top of this mountain and basically work our way around. As far as the conditions go, it's about 42 degrees right now. We have some snow and ice on the ground. Outside of the forest and above, it is very, very windy. I'm starting up my GPS now. That way, I can easily get back to this location when I'm ready.
Now Luke decides to return and take a closer look. Not to chase monsters, but out of genuine curiosity and in response to requests from his viewers. The hike starts off like many of his videos, calm, methodical, and focused on the natural surroundings. The temperature hovers around 42 degrees Fahrenheit, with snow and ice still lingering in the shaded areas. The forest is still, with only the sound of the wind breaking the silence. Luke keeps his GPS active, carefully tracking his route. As he makes his way deeper into the woods, he begins noticing strange signs once again. Patches of moss stripped from tree bark and scratch marks high up on the trunks. Some of these markings could be explained by bear activity, but others remain a mystery.
Basically, I'm looking for a sign of something, anything. There is snow on the ground. That's a good thing. If anything's been walking through here, I'll see the steps. That's an interesting spot there with the moss. Something has scraped that off. Something rather large. Could have been a black bear. Speaking of the animals that are in this forest, we have black bear, we have some deer, bobcats, the occasional mountain lion, coyotes. That's about it, really. We have some smaller game, of course. But as far as the big ones, that's it.
The deeper Luke ventures, the more unusual things become. He comes across piles of frozen bear scat and tracks from deer and coyotes. The forest is so thick and overgrown that he repeatedly notes how easily something, or someone, could remain completely hidden just a few feet away. At one point, he stumbles upon a massive rock formation. While such features aren't uncommon in the region, Its sheer size adds to the eerie atmosphere. The forest is also littered with fallen trees and decaying limbs, contributing to the sense of unease. Before setting out, Luke had done some research and was surprised to discover that this area has a high number of reported Bigfoot sightings, something he hadn't known before. Now, with every broken tree, snapped branch, and unexplained sound, those reports are beginning to feel a lot more plausible.
I've come across a massive rock. It's huge. Look at the size of that. I will tell you all this, folks. Before I came out here today, I did a search about this area and Bigfoot. And I'm shocked to say this, but I found a ton of reports. This area apparently is a hot spot for Bigfoot activity. Every time that I come out for a trip, I will share with you all a story that I found online from this area. So if you find this sort of content interesting, hit the like button. By the way, everyone, try to keep it civil in the comment section. There's going to be those who think they've seen evidence of Bigfoot, those who don't believe. It doesn't matter, everybody. People could see things differently than you, and that's okay.
Despite the oddities, Luke stays grounded and level-headed. He remains cautious but never alarmed. Still, he can't shake the sense that there's something unusual about this place. The strange sounds and peculiar tree formations linger in his thoughts long after he's left the forest. He ends the video without making any bold claims. He doesn't say he saw Bigfoot or had a definitive encounter, but coming from someone who typically brushes off such ideas, the fact that he calls this the strangest place he's ever camped speaks volumes. As always, I'll leave it to you to decide what to make of the experience. A man ventures deep into the Canadian Rockies to set up camp in a secluded location known as Spirit Camp, a site once used by local indigenous communities as a sacred burial ground. In recent times, however, even the elders have steered clear of the area. Whispers of disturbed graves, eerie voices drifting through the trees, and unexplained sightings have spread, leaving seasoned travelers with a sense of unease. Determined to uncover the truth, the man spends 4 days and nights entirely alone at Spirit Camp. Unlike most YouTubers, he chooses not to narrate or comment on his experience. Instead, his camera rolls in silence, quietly documenting whatever might unfold. At first, everything appears peaceful. Wildlife casually roams through the camp, and the days pass without incident. Everything appears normal. But on the second night, as darkness blankets the forest, something unexpected occurs. a deep, thunderous roar shatters the stillness. It's unnaturally loud, far louder than any known animal in the region. The sound bears an eerie resemblance to a lion's roar, though lions don't exist in the Canadian Rockies. Moments later, a sharp knocking echoes through the woods, as if something heavy is striking the trees. This type of sound is often linked to reported Bigfoot encounters, which frequently include wood knocks, unsettling howls, and unidentifiable vocalizations during the night. Could it have been a known animal? Possibly. Some speculate it might have been an elk or a bear, but neither explanation fully aligns with what was captured. Others believe it was something different. Something mysterious, long rumored, yet never conclusively identified. Whatever it was, one thing is certain. If you had been there and heard it with your own ears, you likely wouldn't have stayed to find out. This video shows a father, a record representative, casually walking through the woods with his daughter. What begins as a normal moment takes a strange and unsettling turn. As he films, focusing on his daughter Leanna walking ahead, a large figure can be seen moving quietly in the background. The movement is subtle yet noticeable, standing out against the backdrop of trees and foliage. The figure appears humanoid, but it's much larger than any person, its dark silhouette partially hidden by the dense forest. Unaware of its presence, the father and daughter continue their peaceful walk, undisturbed. It's only later, while reviewing the footage at home, that they're struck by what they've captured. Upon rewatching the video, they notice the shadowy figure moving in the background. The family examines the clip carefully, observing that the figure's size and gait don't match those of a human. Its height, bulk, and movement more closely resemble descriptions of the legendary Bigfoot, a creature believed to roam remote forests. The discovery leaves them both startled and intrigued, turning a routine family outing into an unforgettable moment of mystery. Though the figure isn't seen clearly enough to confirm its identity, its presence reignites the age-old debate about Bigfoot's existence. Realizing how close they might have been to the creature, the father and daughter reflect on how easily they could have missed it had they not reviewed the video. Regardless of the truth, the experience adds yet another layer to the enduring legend of Bigfoot, and its place in both folklore and modern-day encounters. This wasn't the couple's initial camping adventure, but it might have been their final visit to that specific forest. The footage originates from a channel named Exploring with Bear, hosted by Jerry, who is frequently called Jerry Bear. Over time, Jerry has gained followers by exploring remote, often hard-to-reach areas in search of the unusual, the mysterious, and sometimes the frightening. However, this particular trip seemed to stand apart.
My beautiful wife, Tiffany, has agreed to come out Bigfoot hunting and camping with me tonight. And we're actually probably only about 5-10 minutes away from the place right now. And we pulled over. There's a lake and woods all around us right now. Well, right now we're out in the middle of like nowhere. So I figure this is probably the best time to tell you where we're going to be going camping. You don't watch none of my videos though, so she don't really know. Anyway, where psychopaths have attacked before. That was like a year and a half ago though. This is where the tent that got mangled of mine, and I had to get a new tent and everything. This is where that happened.
You said we were going somewhere safer.
Well, it's been a year and a half. So that's a long time. But time heals all wounds. That's a long time. You know, what's the chances of another psychopath showing up tonight?
Right there.
Here comes one now.
Here it is.
By the way, we're on a road where there's hardly ever any cars to go down. Till now.
He wasn't alone. His wife, Tiffany, was with him, and the feeling of vulnerability was significantly heightened. The location was familiar to Jerry from previous experiences. A wooded area surrounded by lakes and thick tree lines, an area he openly called Bigfoot territory. This wasn't just based on rumors. It stemmed from a past incident where his tent had supposedly been torn down during a solo trip. At the time, he couldn't determine whether it was caused by a person or an animal. Nonetheless, the memory lingered with him. As they approached, the forest seemed to send them a subtle warning. 2 massive trees had been bent in unnatural ways across the trail.
Duber, I did another thing for you earlier. I came out here, I knew this place is out in the middle of nowhere. It's probably not being used and it's going to be all overgrown. So, and I'm glad I did, because now it's night. So I had to remove like 2 trees out of the road. And then, oh, wait till you see these bends. So one of the signs for Sasquatch is, we'll have to look for more. But bent trees, weirdly bent trees. And that's right by the camp. It was like something was trying to block the entrance with all the trees going across and then the 2 bent trees. So wait till you see it. I'll show it to you. But it's so pretty interesting right off the bat. But I did clear it all out for you. So now we're not going to have like a bunch of high weeds we got to walk through, like tick magnets. And it'll be nicer. It'll be nicer to move around the camp.
Jerry immediately pointed it out, referencing how in Sasquatch legends, bent trees are often viewed as territorial markers or boundary warnings. Whether myth or coincidence, it unsettled both of them. After setting up camp, the first part of the video shows the couple trying to keep a lighthearted tone. Tiffany talks about the lake's beauty, while Jerry pulls out his love box, a collection of snacks and comforting foods. He attempts to stay upbeat, but clearly something troubles him. At one point, he recalls a previous moment when he left an apple in the woods and recorded strange unidentified sounds on his night vision camera. This wasn't just someone sharing urban legends. Jerry seemed to believe, or at least partly believe, in what might be out there. As daylight turns to night, the situation shifts. Sudden flickering of their vehicle's lights raises suspicion, an odd occurrence since the car was parked and turned off. Then, a sharp, solitary gunshot echoes from deep within the woods.
Oh, come on.
Just a gunshot.
Oh my gosh, no.
Oh, it's what, 11?
No.
Is it midnight yet? It's really late actually right now.
Who shoots a gun at 11 o'clock at night?
That's what just crossed my mind when I heard it. Like, it is awfully late for that. Maybe it was a firework. It's close to the 4th. Or psychopath. They're out here.
It wasn't exactly close, but it wasn't entirely distant either. It was just near enough to make them uncomfortable. Tiffany immediately tensed up, and even Jerry, usually the one to push through any situation, began to show signs of genuine concern. The strange occurrences didn't end there. Earlier that day, while exploring the area, they came across an old satellite dish partially buried in the underbrush, something completely out of place. They also found scattered pieces of fencing and other debris tucked deep in the forest, far from any property or trail, as if someone had been there long ago, or perhaps left it behind intentionally. One detail that caught their attention was the trees themselves. Several trunks were bent unnaturally, not broken by wind, but twisted, often in the same direction. Jerry kept pointing these out, insisting they were too frequent to be mere coincidence. If you believed in Bigfoot, or even if you just remained open to the idea, this forest was beginning to feel like the epicenter of it all. Tiffany, usually composed, couldn't hide her fear. She sensed that something felt fundamentally wrong, not just frightening, but unnatural. Her instincts told her they shouldn't be there. While Jerry tried to lighten the mood with humor, he wasn't arguing hard against her feelings. It was clear he felt it too. Many viewers who watched the video commented that it stood apart from typical camping horror content because of its authenticity. There are no jump scares here. It's just 2 people alone in a place they shouldn't be, facing inexplicable things. Most notably, Jerry himself begins to change. His voice softens, his jokes fade away, and his tone becomes calm yet serious. He's experienced countless overnight adventures, exploring cemeteries, abandoned buildings, dark caves, without hesitation. But here, beneath the trees, something unsettled him deeply. That's why the video feels so genuine. It's not about legends or monsters, it's about the fear of the unknown. Whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, one thing is certain. That night in the woods left a lasting impression, not just on the couple, but on the thousands who watched and felt that same wave of dread. A feeling that can't simply be chalked up to wind, raccoons, or coincidence. Uploaded on July 7th, 2025, this video originates from a newly created channel that appears to be documenting the uploader's initial attempts at solo exploration in the woods. In the beginning, the creator mentions they weren't expecting much, just a casual nighttime hike to test some gear and perhaps capture a few scenic shots. However, what they filmed turned out to be anything but ordinary. As the footage unfolds, the dense forest, dimly illuminated by a flashlight, feels oppressive and motionless. There is no narration or music, only the sounds of leaves crunching underfoot, and the occasional branch snapping somewhere deeper in the woods. Then, for a brief moment, something appears on camera.
Fuck. Just gonna ignore that. Where's the next path? Here it is. Right. Just gonna have to cross over this. The fuck? Just a minute. I saw something. Look, I'm just scared, guys. The fuck was that? Okay. Strange.
At first, it's difficult to distinguish what's happening, but in the distance, two faint, glowing eyes reflect the camera's light. They don't behave like typical animals. There's no scurrying or fleeing. Instead, the figure remains upright and motionless, simply observing. The person who uploaded the footage describes seeing what appeared to be a humanoid silhouette. Tall, still, and oddly proportioned. It makes no sound. just stares silently from between the trees. Spooked but determined to record the encounter, the explorer keeps a safe distance, then gradually backs away and ends the video. Clearly shaken, they seem unsettled by what they saw. The scariness of the footage lies in its rawness. No cinematic effects or editing, just a lone individual in the dark stumbling upon something inexplicable. There's no narration, but in the description, the creator promises to return and investigate further. Whether it was a prank, an animal, or something genuinely strange, viewers are left anticipating a sequel and pondering what might truly inhabit the woods.